Thumbnail, is it right? Yeah, thumbnail right. Yes, sir. Whoa. Boom. That's not the link. That is the link. Couldn't find my own messages for a second. I'm crazy. Anyways. There we go. How are we doing tonight, chat? It's still fucking nippy. Either way. Hello, chat room. I've gathered you to hear you for the purposes of one, looking at this fucking thumbnail of mine. Check this shit out. Get the fucking thing up. And it's like, the fuck? I clicked on the wrong thing, that's why. I'm dumb. Check that shit out. This is the product of me and Jay brainstorming for about an hour to 2 minutes. Isn't it delicious? Isn't it cool? Isn't it fun? More importantly, isn't it the fucking truth?
To brand new battlesphere.
Anyways, the people pile into the chat room, and then we shall begin. That guy is coping. Hello. What's up? It's a VSChat. Click the link, join the chat. I'm just finishing up snacks. It's a hombre. Our hombre. And the video is relatively short.
Fuck that bear. So, would you rather be stuck in the forest with a man or a bear?
Men. Humans. Probably. I'd prefer being stuck in the woods with a human. Because I don't want to die. If I come across a wild animal in the woods, I'm more than likely going to die. Anyone would be likely to die, but it is likely that we will die. Because that's just the nature of it. You see a wild animal, you see him in the forest, you see that wild animal in the forest, potentially causing you or anyone else you know pain, devastation, destruction, whatever, you're probably going to die.
What an actual stupid meme and conversation that turned out to be, right?
True. Yeah, they went crazy.
Check this out. Let me explain my first encounter with this question. So when I first saw this TikTok meme, I was a wee bit offended. I was a bit ticked off, and I showed my friends, and my friends immediately dismissed this, right? They immediately dismissed it, and they're just like, well, it's just another way for ladies to virtue signal, right? That when left without the social contract of society, men are but vicious beasts of whom will do whatever they wish to a young female.
It's ridiculous, and yet that's how many of them feel on the primal level, because that's what they've been told. It's what they've been trained to believe. It's heartbreaking, because when you think about that, do you think your female friends look at you like you're a fucking roving monster, that if it weren't for the fact that you are tied to them through more than just sexual interest, that you'd have no interest, and you would be unto them like a wild wildebeest, slapped upon on the back by a lion? Is some shit for which many people cannot put, because they cannot fathom that concept. But then again, this is no different than that post that was made a few months back. Miss little, I forgot you were a man? Yeah. Because what did we learn about little Miss, I forgot you were a man? Her friend's state and condition of manhood and humanity was conditional upon her not feeling like she was a threat, or feeling under threat. The moment that he did an ick that made her feel some type of way was the exact second his personhood was stripped from him. Now, of course, this goes without saying. That girl is a loony, and most people who think like this, for men and women, are loonies. Probably always have been. Probably will contextualize themselves to continue to be. Because this is a delusional thing to do to yourself. It mentally harms you. Because it doesn't help you or anyone else to think like this in any capacity whatsoever. Because you see, this is all the case of all men are victimizers, all men are predators. And the problem with that is that it goes to the same place. If every man is a monster, if every man is an abuser, every man, every boy, every brother, every cousin, every nephew, every son, if every single man in existence, from your husband to the men in your family, are monsters, we are roving beasts. We are roving beasts that will beat and rape other people. You would kill us all on sight. There'd be no logic to it. It's the same thing as if we were to do this to women. The misogyny and misandry go crazy, and it's all based on social delusion and making yourself feel good. Because, of course, the answer of the question was being said in front of the camera. If it wasn't being said for clout, maybe people would have been a lot more honest, but they were saying it for clout. In the context of thinking about the kind of men that would not do you harm, but you think would be harmful to you, versus men who don't give a shit what the fuck happens to you. And of course, that's the problem. The bear in this context is men who have no social order and do not dictate themselves to the rule of polite society. And men are all the other niggas! So when you treat me the way you would treat a serial assaulter, a trafficker, a drug dealer, and a violent hoodlum, yeah, I'm probably gonna look at you sideways, like, all men? I'm not all men, though. But of course, that whole diatribe ship is sold because they can't accept that. That's it's too close to the truth. Close to the truth. Too close to the truth. Everyone had it. It's difficult. It's hard. It's very, very hard. It's very difficult to wrap one's head around that concept and say, yeah, I don't think this is acceptable. I don't think it's okay. Very difficult. Very difficult.
So it's not really serious, right? Like in a legitimate, honest world, right? There's no way a young lady would ever actually pick a bear over a man, right? That's
unless they're Romanian or they come from a viewpoint of some shit that has something else to do with something else entirely different. I would not put it past these people, in my opinion. I wouldn't. And the reason why I wouldn't is because I barely trust the viewpoint from some of these women in question. Because a lot of them act as though they don't understand how these things affect people in general and how they affect society in general. They really, 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 yes. Really, 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 really do not understand that this is like the basis of society. It's the basis of society. Because it'd be great if I had Zerse here. But I think he's busy. Boom, boom. Wrong one. And this.
it was dismissed, and I was like, yeah, I guess it is just goofy feminist prattle. Oh boy, was I wrong. So it's interesting because there were some young ladies that legitimately went out to have debates and arguments and tried to form a logical argument as to why they would rather be stuck in the forest with a bear than a man. I know this is real because I participated in one such debate.
Because I'm wearing a Winnie the Pooh necklace right now.
So you think Pooh Bear? He's gonna
he went on to Wick TV and talked about it. Interesting.
adapt you up in the forest.
No.
But then I thought about it more, and there's like a lot of reasons why I would choose a bear. One of them being that the odds of me scaring a bear away are much higher than me scaring a man away.
Get a gun! Okay. Context. Certainly there's context.
I would choose a bear. One of them being that the odds of me scaring a bear away are much higher than me scaring a man away. I have pretty much 0% chance of scaring a man, whereas a bear is almost always equally afraid of me as I am of it.
Get a gun! Alright, good thing I didn't pause Andy for that context. What kind of fucking argument is that? Men have a 0% chance of being able to scare women away in society because women have been empowered to use their voice in a way to destroy other people, because that's supposed to be the equalizer. Man uses force, woman uses connections. They are literally the final boss. They are literally the concept of Kingdom Hearts. Power through connections and bonds. Simba, cancel him on Twitter! And in that way, without it being seen live on a camera, without somebody to witness you what the fuck you're talking to you about, you have no chance in society against either. Because you see, the fact of the matter is, this is not a question about the actual fucking bear, in my opinion, when it's seen through the sociological lens. It's seen through the perspective of, what would you rather harm reduce? The potential harm of being attacked by a bear, or the potential harm of being attacked by a man? But the concept of this goes all the way far back with the fucking meme of College Humor or Crack.com having men in a dorm simulate the concepts of women on campus, and bringing a bear back to the dorm means bringing a random guy that you hooked up with back to the dorm. Oh my god, this random guy who's in our place, he's still asleep, but like when he wakes up, he's gonna assault all of us. Oh wait a minute, all four of us at the same time? Girl, I bench press. Find me them legs. In fact, find me my leg bar. Someone's getting worn as earrings tonight. Type shit. What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? Oh, what do you mean? Big, tell me what the fuck do you mean?
Also, bears are much more predictable than humans are.
Excuse me?
The wild animal.
Here, look. I mean,
Yes! 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 Yes, Zerse! Yes! Run that back! Oh my god!
Almost always equally afraid of me as I am of it. Also, bears are much more predictable than humans are.
The wild animal.
here, look. I mean, for real. It's like,
I can't. Bro, no! Excuse me, a wild animal that cannot communicate with the human language is a lot more predictable than a man who's clearly taking his pants off. Excuse me, I have no idea what the bear's doing, but I know he's a lot more predictable than that man who, bro, he's completely normal. He's walking away from me saying, well, I don't want any trouble. I don't want any trouble. I don't even have a TikTok account. Okay.
like they think of a wild man in the forest, and they just interpret that man as like Dark Riku or something.
True.
The door. Lead me into everlasting darkness.
Sora! Forget it. There's no way you're taking Larry's heart.
Now, there is something really off about this perception of young men. Not just that it's extremely offensive, but like it also really doesn't map onto reality very well. And that is, if the perception is that the social contract is what keeps the bad men in lieu in front of the good men, then as a young lady you would have to assume that the
Hello, Ebony.
probability of encountering a bad man is really high versus the probability of encountering a pretty alright to good man out in the middle of the forest, right? Like you would
Yes.
have to, like if you were to make a graph or a pie chart, right? Like the possibility of meeting that terrible dude has to be high. But what's interesting is if most men, based on the social contract, aren't trying to be bad people, then why would you assume that if you were in the middle of the forest without a man, that he would have a high chance of harming you? If most men don't already in modern society as it is. Because either most men are evil, or there's a high probability that you just encounter an evil man that wishes to harm you. Is either that, or the social contract of being in front of other men makes most men who are bad at good. But if that were the case, and most men are just acting good and just waiting for their opportunity to be bad, then why is there a social contract to appear good to begin with if most of us are bad in the first place? If most men really are just opportunistic and just waiting for their opportunity to harm women, then that would mean that most men would be on the same wavelength. So why would we pretend to be in a rational society when we could just Mad Max this, right? Like if we...
It's very simple. It's because it's not based in reality. It's based in feels. It's based in vibes. If you have a random chance of being assaulted by a man, any man, anywhere, anytime at all, like he sees it's Islam shit. A man goes out inside of his home. He sees a woman. She is wearing a short skirt. Come here, bitch! Give me that ass! If that's what happens every single time, if that is what we're saying happens, if that's the reality, he just sees a little bit. He just sees a little bit of skin. A little bit of skin. Not a lot. Just a little bit of skin. And all the... There would be classes held youthfully as children. We would be told, don't ever see a woman with short skirts. Don't ever go outside and be near these women. These women, if they have fears about you, will subconsciously project those fears into your head, and you will become the thing that they think of you. It would be an eldritch abomination. It would be unironically like becoming a deviant and once human. Like, it'd be Starfall, except it's when a woman locks his gaze with you and points her fingers and says, rapist! And it echoes into your brain, and you just can't get away from the thought until you are committing the action they've accused you of. Oh my god. It would be so painful. Society would never have lasted so long. Because then all the good men, would have to do triple duty. We'd have to build society, we have to build families and infrastructure, and then we have to constantly fight the roving hordes of men who are being corrupted into becoming monsters because a woman accused them as such.
If we could just harm ladies, why don't we? Right? Like, when you start thinking about it, it's really just absurd, man. Like, they really view young men like we're just waiting around with a level 82 Pikachu on the top of the mountaintops, ready to just slay them or something. It's
old school.
You really have to... Here's the thing. One thing that I thought was just insane was the retort that, what is a man, doing in the forest? That's had to be, one of the dumbest responses I'd heard to this whole bear thing. Because it pretends that, men don't go out into the forest to just fish.
Yep. Because what did we cover today on not on VSChat? What did we cover today on the live stream? Why would men even have hobbies like playing video games? What are you doing? Simulating and practicing so that you can have a dry run at assaulting a woman? Why don't you get a woman? Bro, what do we do? What are we doing here? Like, what am I supposed to say to that? Well, that's not reasonable. It's so not reasonable.
Or like, men don't go out into the forest to just like hunt. Like deer, right? Like they're not looking for a woman out in the forest. What are you talking about? Like men don't just go out into the forest to just camp and just be by themselves. They do that. There are some men that will go out into the middle of the wilderness to just build dirt forts. They just build dirt. No one asked them to. They're just minding their own business, building a dirt fort. It's like if you're like, this is what's insane to me. Their perception of danger is that like the man who's in the forest is the one that's hunting for a woman to kidnap and rape. Like that, he's the man that's doing that, not the man who went to a nightclub. I gotta tell you, man, like their perception of young men, it's like they see us and they just hear one-winged angel. They just look at men they don't know and they're just waiting for the descend, heartless angel.
I see. So that's a Keyblade. And I suppose you must be its chosen wielder.
So what if I am?
I wonder if it won't change its mind once I defeat you.
Actually, he's cooking right there. He's cooking there for a second. Wait a minute. I got a shit post. Wait a minute. So, this is your bitch? Yeah, this is my girl. Interesting. And you would say that she chose you over all the other men? Yeah? What about it? I wonder if she'd have the same personality once she saw me bend you over and bust that shit out sexual style. It works! It works!
Show me your strength. That's enough.
I gotta tell you, man, they view men they don't know like we're David from Fate Grand Order. Like we just want for destruction. We just want to end the whole world. They see us. They imagine just a dastardly villain. They just imagine David is just here. He's just coming for the cheeks or something.
Hello, Earthwoman. You know what I want. Now give it to me.
The Dragon Ball's right there!
Oh, I'm not here for the Dragon Ball.
What?
Spread
Now, look, listen, I'm not saying that there aren't bad men in the world. Not at all. But what I am saying is that it is a little absurd to just think on just the pure probability that if you were to take a random dude, that his desires and his wants is purely focused on just simply taking the cheeks. I'm gonna say it that way, right? Because it's funny, number one, but number two, that is essentially what ladies are implying. They are implying that overwhelmingly, at the very least, or there's a high chance or high probability that if they were to encounter a man in the forest, that without any social standing, he will take what he desires from her, and that is purely her wop. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. Do I think that this is extremely offensive to young men? Very much so.
It should be. It should be insulting. Imagine thinking every single person that you come across supposedly wants to fuck you. That's a lot of ego and delusion to have it off of the outset. And realistically, the only thing that caused that was social media. Motherfuckers with the social media game getting really too big in their bitches and do big high heads to say, you know what? I'm ugly as fuck. I ain't finna get assaulted, because no man wants to clap my cheeks. My cheeks don't even clap to begin with. One time my cheeks clap is when I'm on the toilet on Taco Bell, when I sit on that toilet, talking about But more importantly than that, it's the delusion that is brought on by other women. Because other women tell them about it, and so they get it in their heads as like a very funny fantasy that they don't believe will happen, but they give energy to it anyways. Because delusion being delusion, it allows them to believe so, as if it were true, or would be likely. Now, this of course should be treated like what it is, which is pure fucking cope, but sometimes it does not, and it cannot be. Because you don't want to stoke the flames and fire of it, you know? You don't want to be the guy that says, you know, that's not really real. But at the same time, you also don't want to be the guy that says, you know, I know you feel that way, but there's just some truth to that you're not really communicating, right? You want to be fair. You want to not tell them that they're crazy. In that sort or whatever. But a lot of it comes down to social delusion. A lot of it. Because if we were to have people be more realistic about the things that they're saying and doing, they would not believe these things. They would not say them as true. They would not repeat them as avidly as they do. Because the reason most of these things get repeated and said as they do is because there are people who unironically believe that this is the truth. They believe this is the truth of the world. They believe this is the truth of everything that they are learning and that they could learn from other people, let alone from themselves, and the environments that they put themselves into. And it's not. It's not even close to reality. It's not even close to being anything less other than comical, if not outright fucking salacious. Because how does this help people? I can't imagine it would. I can't imagine that it could. Because someone's responsible for putting that in their head. I don't know who it is. Was it a mama? Was it a papa? I don't know who it was. I don't care if it was Great Mary or my pop-pop. Someone's responsible for making your daughters insane. And it is not the job of all those men in society to be the ones that stand the slings and arrows. Tell your daughter that you were joking. Kiss her on the forehead. Tell her everything will be okay. Daddy was just fooling. No, men are not going to attack you like you are a starving wildebeest. They're not going to climb up on their backs and be like, let me see what our mouth do. That's not going to happen. It is your responsibility and job to make sure that you didn't tell them that lie. And if you told them that lie, then you're responsible for all those men. All of them that are getting fucked over because of the things that women were told would happen to them. And are never told, but are you being serious and for real? For example, Gorlock the Destroyer. That female that keeps going on to podcasts and shit. She's not finna get assaulted. Not unless it's by a man that's extremely devious and already evil to begin with. And if that was the case that he was going to assault her like that, then it's something that we would come to truths of. And as we're watching the clapping happen, just, damn, I didn't think she was being for real. He actually did it. Because how are any of us supposed to help with that? In any particular context? How can we be able to solve the problem for that in any particular context? I don't know how. I don't know if you got answers. I ain't got answers. Because it's really, really hard. It's really, really hard. Because in order to think that, you'd have to think worse about people. Men already think worse about most things in society, let alone other people. Why would we want to add that pain and animosity onto ourselves by adding on something that might actually break our brains if we think about it too much? Who helps? Who is helped by that? Other than those that want you to be crazy to begin with anyways. Just kills you. It does. Like, the bear thing doesn't offend you. If the danger here wants the bear, let the bear have it. One bear has lots of hungry cubs to feed. True, but they're not looking at it from the position of a mother bear. They're not even looking from the position of a father bear. They're looking at it from the position of, there's no other reason for this creature to be here other than to assault me.
So much so that I'll kind of make an entire video about it, specifically in the near future. But if we're just going to focus on the bear question, it kind of does highlight something that I think is a little strange and off. And that strange off thing is that women are indeed, at least implying, that their vaginas, or their quote-unquote chastity, or I guess their just ability to control having their cheeks clapped by a man they don't want, is more important than their lives.
There's an argument where virtue and chastity being taken by a defiled man that they do not want to give it to is more dangerous than anything else. But at the same time, even if that were to be the case, example, I would have to then say to said woman, why do you think that way? And why is it that in the situation that you believe that your virtue is the only thing a man could want, why would you think that that's a reasonable thing to say or do in response to other people? Like, that is not something that clearly came from somewhere, because that's inspired by something. One does not just magically arrive at that position. You have to be thinking about that. And if you're thinking about that, I'm worried about you for more than a couple of reasons.
And I'm gonna be honest with you, there is something kind of sad and off about a woman prioritizing a man she doesn't want having sex with her over her life. Now, let me be clear, okay? Now, I don't normally do this because I find it performative, and I think this is a cold take. I think this is a Blizzard take, okay? This is so cold that I'm not really saying anything effective, but I despise rapists. I utterly despise them. They disgust me greatly, for numerous different reasons, but to voice that out, what is that, you know, like, am I special to say that? Like, I'm not gonna go like, oh, I just want them to be all castrated and stuff, yeah, they can't, like, I'm not gonna be all, it's performative, right? Because we're not gonna do that. That's just too much.
Give a couple of these places a little bit of time to worry about it. They are definitely gonna come around to the idea of pushing that, specifically because it'll make people feel good. Realistically, having worked in the position of being responsible for whether or not these people would see justice, a lot of people talk a lot of shit, and that shit that they talk amounts to nothing, because they're not really about that life. Not for real, for real. There are too many people who are happy to say some shit but are not prepared to be ready to do some shit. And honestly, Cap, if you ain't finna go out here and live up to the energy that a lot of people claim that you're going to, and say, yep, I want this and this and this and this and this, alright, I'm gonna see you in the gas chamber. Make sure you're ready to pull the trigger. Really, on that end, that comes down to them wanting to get the performative capability of being for the position without actually having, you know, work it out. Somebody else will figure out how to kill him. All I gotta do is say, bro, wouldn't it be cool, it's space. You know what I'm saying?
So, I'm gonna say this with full understanding, right? It's clear between you and me, dear viewer, that just like privately in my own thoughts, these men gross me out and disgust me, and I hate them with a passion. I really don't. But again, that's a Blizzard take. That's cold, right? You know what I'm saying? That's not really saying anything significant. So I say that to make this greater point, and that is, for as much as I despise rapists, there's something a lot worse about murderers. Okay? There's something a little bit worse about someone that will just end your tenure on Earth. You're just gonna end your time in this timeline. You're gone, buddy. You're out of this. You gotta, you know, you gotta reset. Right? You gotta go talk to God now, right? There's something, to me, a little bit worse about that. I promise, bro. I have to imagine that a lot of young ladies view us like Alex Mercer.
You just don't get it, do you? I gave you everything, and this is how you come to me. Can't you understand what I'm doing? Humanity is stagnant, dying. I would give it one body, one mind. Think about it. No more conflict, no more disease, no more suffering. Don't you see? I'm giving it a second chance. Enough of your fucking weird, fucking rambling shit! Give me my daughter! No.
I unfortunately did not get to play The Darkness, but I hear that it's a great series.
That's Prototype, not The Darkness.
Oh,
and
Prototype.
It is both of them I recommend.
I see. Welcome, Aqua.
No, I don't think so. It's time you gave me something. You see, young Amaya shares your brand of annoyingly resilient DNA. And when she's ready, your daughter will become the mother of the new world. So now the only thing standing between me and Earth's true destiny is you.
And I do think that we've done young ladies quite the disservice when they perceive that like their vaginas are far more important than the whole of their entire lives, so much so that they would prefer to be eaten slowly by a bear than to encounter maybe a man that's going to rape them. Maybe that will happen in the scenario, right? But here's the thing, you can still engage in combat with a man that's trying to rape you. You can do something in this situation, which is kind of what I was saying in the conversation or the debate I had, right? Like, there's more options to face off with a man than to face off with a bear. You have to hope that at 5'2", 135, you can scream enough for the 7-foot, 8-foot tall bear to be scared of you, right? Like, you have to hope that you can terrify the bear. You're all a 5'5", 155, and that's gonna make the bear scared? Maybe. But the thing that's so interesting is when you look at it logically, it's like, well, you can talk to a man, right? Like, if like a ladies think that like I can't rationalize with a man that wants to take my cheeks, it's too much. He desires me so much, and it's like, maybe. I don't know, maybe he can't be reasoned with, or maybe the member of your species doesn't have that desire for you to begin with, and you can just talk to him. Here's the thing, like, if you really want to go the extra mile, he can attempt to grape you, he can even successfully do it, I know this is terrible to say, and then he can go to sleep, and then you could stab his eye out, right? Like, that's pretty graphic, but you could do that, and now you don't have to worry about it anymore, right? It's like, the thing is, like, you can't really do much in combat with a bear. So here's the thing, if we're gonna be honest, truth be told, the bear doesn't really matter. In fact, it could have been anything, right? The long and short is, right, like, for example, it could have been this. It's like, would you rather be stuck in the mountaintops with a fire-breathing dragon or the immortal Iron Fist, right? And the ladies would have answered the question all the same. They would have been like, well, Shao the Undying can, like, literally incinerate every cell in my body once, but the immortal Iron Fist can kick my ass 6 ways to Sunday and then put me in his rape dungeon and then use his chi-infused fist to...
Oh,
So cringe.
no.
So cringe.
What he's explaining as the concept is cringe. What he's saying is true. There are people who unironically think like this. He went on to Wick TV and apparently they unironically spoke that way. There was a woman who said that she could easily more predict the behavior of a bear than of a man. And he said to her verbatim, yes.
I'm just saying, he's explaining this so cringe, and it's like, brother, my brother in Christ, you're not helping yourself here.
The point that he understands, he knows. I don't know when he'll come by. He said he will get by if he has a chance to. Thank you, Horror. The thing he's trying to get across is that it's a silly level of mental anguish that women are doing to themselves when they act like this, because there are people who think like this. There are women who behave like this, and you can't help them. How do I help them? First, they'd have to admit that there's nothing wrong that's going to happen. That's the first problem. Then the next problem is they'd have to admit, you know what, this is actually not reasonable. But many of them believe this is reasonable. So it's hard to argue them out of the position, because even when you're trying to make them be sensible, how are they being sensible? What makes you think that that man is going to assault you just because he looked at you funny? You know? It's that type shit.
Yeah, to be fair to the
I just realized it.
His example was really cringe, but his technique was good. He take the logic to the extreme. Like, it's not just a man and a bear.
Yes, exactly.
Superhero and a mythical creature.
Exactly.
He has extrapolated logic to the extreme.
Realistically, when it comes to talking points like this, is what I do like to do. I like to use the argument absurdum, because the entire point is, does this sound reasonable? No, it sounds goofy. And the more goofy it sounds like, you know what, maybe this isn't something that's actually going to happen. And therefore, you should not be that terrified of something that you know for certainty sounds silly, and you can't say it out loud seriously, because even you don't think it's serious. So you can't fearmonger about, but what if he does do this? Like, buy a gun. Again, it's like, I have no way in which I can defend myself against a man. Yes, you can buy a gun. If you can't buy a gun, buy a knife. Become skilled with a knife. Buy a weapon. Don't be powerless. Put power and agency in your hands.
Use mace, for goodness sake.
I was gonna say, use bear spray.
Yeah, I was
like
thinking.
$50.
Carl, come get your ice cream.
Okay, I'm gonna come get my ice cream. Excuse me, I gotta go lick my wife.
I'll come get your sweetness. All right, baby. That's all I heard right then. That's all I heard.
I don't know what you heard, but he asked me to get ice cream and sandwiches for him on my lunch break, so he needed to come get his ice cream.
That's what I said. Hey, Kyle, come get your sweetness. All right. Okay. That's what I heard.
Oh Lord.
I didn't mean to be late for this stream, I swear.
You think I wouldn't come out here and do it? Oh, you think I'm one of those? You think I'm one of those people? You think I'm one of those people? You think I won't pull? You think I won't pull? Take your ass on you.
Why are you doing this?
Why content? No, because I love you.
Okay. The ice cream has successfully been licked. That is a euphemism. Anyways, where was I? I forgot.
Fist it.
If you can't protect yourself, go buy a gun, basically. That was the argument.
I just realized the imagery.
You really are a very crude person, aren't you?
Like, some ladies, they seem to really think young men are out here trying to bury the light.
True though. True though.
So look, again, we have to be fair here. Not every lady is androphobic. Not every lady picked the bear when asked a question. Some women answer the question correctly. So let's just be fair, okay? It's not every lady. It's a lot of them. It does look, at least on the internet, like it's a 50-50 split, which is damning unto itself, but we're gonna be fair. Not every lady did pick the bear. So just to be clear and understand that, okay? That being said, there are a lot of ladies dealing with androphobia, and I think a lot of women do need to face that fear. If the bear conversation showed me anything, it showed me that a lot of ladies do not have that dog in them. A lot of ladies, they don't have that fight. They don't have that grit. They don't have that part of them that rages against the machine, right? That looks danger in the face and says, no, I'm not gonna let you do this, right? Like that anime Natsu Dragneel battle spirit.
I mean, not really, no. They're not supposed to. That's supposed to be men's job.
I kind of get where he's coming from. For the love of Christ, my brother, in absolute Christ, stop making these references. Just get to your point.
This is Zerse. This is Zerse.
Please.
This is Zerse.
I know. But please. It doesn't help.
Still,
I get where he's coming from.
Still, we have to judge the point. Is he wrong?
No. I mean, I get where he's coming from. It's just, for the love of God, please stop the references. Just get to your point. Like, there, it's salient enough. I understand. I agree.
Ultimately, women don't have to face the problems of society. It's decided for them. If I come across a bear in the woods, I'm gonna scream for help. And more than likely, if it's not a fucking mycelium witch that comes to answer my plea and call, it's gonna be a man with a gun. I'm gonna run to the safety of that man with a gun, and he's gonna handle it for me. Granted, it's not gonna be like that one story of that one music video. There's some random stranger who put a woman in his car and then committed an act of murder on her behalf. It's not gonna be like that. But there's no world where we can be serious and say this is not how some women behave and believe, because that is what feminists have done. It's an argument against feminism, but it comes from that desire of, you don't have to do things, men will do things, and you just get to exist and be pretty. Because egalitarian,
basically.
Well, all of society is countercentric. We work on behalf of the woman, to protect the woman as she rears the children and helps build the society that we grant resources for. Men drive the engine of society by being its fuel, while women control the steering wheel. We give them the resources, and they dictate the home life. And from the social contract of how things will behave in polite society, women dictate who the threat is. The most common example of this is a public menace. The most easy example of that is how white feather feminists, the first of the feminist movement, shamed men for not going to war, giving them white feathers to mock them for their supposed cowardice of not wanting to die. Now, of course, those arguments aside, what is that? When you bring it down to its raw, basic instinct. I'm going to make fun of you because you don't want to lose your life, but I'm not going out there. You go out there and fight the bear. I'ma stay here where it's safe. Call it silly, but it's real. Because it's a real fear.
You don't have that, bro. And that's what I realized. I realized a lot of ladies, they do not have that dog in them. I realized a lot of them don't have, I will not let you take my wife! So, I say all of this to lead me here, to our conclusion, which is why at first the bear conversation offended me. Then the bear conversation made me think women, or some of them, were a little silly, kind of stupid. Then I realized that a lot of ladies, they don't have that dog in them. They don't have that that spirit, that heroic battle spirit within them. I realized that. But it kind of leads me to this. There's two things that I need to say, and here's the first thing I need to say. First thing I need to say is the bear conversation really shows us that a lot of ladies, again, not all, let's be clear, let's be fair, not all of them, but a lot of them do not have a perception of good and evil. And I'm gonna be honest with you, that's really weird to me. Like, as an individual that watched Saturday morning cartoons, it's kind of strange that a lot of ladies didn't develop this understanding of good versus evil. It's like they really don't grasp that there are good, heroic men, if not average to do guys, and then evil men who do indeed wish to harm and hurt you. Like, they'll watch a true crime documentary so they know they exist, but like they've never tempered that with, again, all of the myriads of entertainment in movies, in cartoons, in comic books, in video games, and just TV shows of men who are indeed good people doing good things because it's the right thing to do. It's so bizarre to me. So here's the thing, like, I realize, right, that if you're a lady and you've made it this far into the video, thank you, but I realize that a lot of the references I was making to the anime and video game characters, I was saying, like, I understand that you guys are probably like, I don't know what those are. That's okay. That's okay, because the point of showing that was not just to be funny, although part of it was to be funny. The point of me using those different video game references was to show you guys that there is example of video game after video game after video game after story after movie after book after book after video game after movie after video game after story after video game after movie after book after story 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 of good men fighting bad men. We know, as men, we know there are bad men. That's why we have story after story after story after story after book after movie after story of good men fighting bad men. Like, no one is saying that there aren't bad men in the world, but we know. And that's why we have so many depictions of good versus evil and men doing what they can to fight the bad men. What's so strange to me is that ladies think the probability of encountering a bad man is greater than the probability of encountering a good man, when overwhelmingly any story that any male interacts with is an example of a good man trying to do something to protect the world, or maybe his friends or his family.
Zerse, I need you to get to a period.
Or whatever the flip. I mean, at this point, I think you guys get it. So,
you know what I mean now?
No, I know what he was saying. It was just a little bit too long.
Yeah.
So I can interject.
Well, my point is, like, I get what he means. It's just my brother. Like, Christ, please get to a point.
If you want to be if you want to be superfluous, the problem was that the sentence went on for a little bit longer than it would. Not necessarily that he was rambling, because that was the entire point of why he was being silly. There are too many case examples. He used stories. I can use actual real news. There are too many examples of real news.
I was gonna say, it's like, oh, sorry.
It's okay. There are too many examples of real news of men violating women, beating on women, hurting women, affecting women, treating women like dog shit, actively women justifying the actions of these men, and then saying, but there's no good man in the world. What do you mean? What do you mean? It's not possible. It's not probable. It's not me.
Another thing too is that he's specifically picking, like, you know, like movies, comics, games. A lot of these are not consumed by women. The majority. There are some that are, but not the majority. It's like a lot of the times they'd rather be on things like social media. They'd rather pay attention to things like the news or wherever they get their news on social media.
I have 5 counters to that. The first one I want to start off with is fanfiction and TikTok. Fanfiction, books in general.
Good point.
TikTok. There is a healthy, very healthy majority of women that understand exactly what that comes to and what that's about. And it has less to do with things that we'd expect, or things that they'd expect, or things that anyone in general would expect, versus the obvious thing that comes to, which would be, there are women, and there are men, and there are people who see it, and they understand it, and they get it, that all of it amounts to, what are we talking about? Because even if we wanted to be flippant, there's a reason why there are women who think this. It's because they don't have life experience. That's the simple first answer. They don't have life experience. They don't have life experience because life experience would require them to know and understand that the thing that they are concerned with does not have a basis in reality. It can't have a basis in reality because in order for that to be something that has a basis in reality, it requires them to think poorly of other people. And thinking poorly of other people does not do anything but get across the feeling and the understanding that it doesn't matter what we say, it doesn't matter what they do, they'll still feel that way. But that's not to say that there aren't people who are willing to teach them, and that there's not ways for them to be willing to learn, because that would then require them to look at human beings, and men in general, like they are demons. And the fact of the matter is that there's no way they could be looking at men and women like they are like this. Because obviously we would then look at them and say, girl, what's wrong with you? The same way that they could say anything on the same capacity, granted, for different reasons. On the capacity that most people would entertain that on, you'd have women saying, girl, what the fuck's wrong with you? That man isn't trying to assault you. And they could say, well, yeah, but, well, I don't know what his intentions are. And the normal reaction to that depends on the context. In the African-American context, it's like, Carl, what the fuck's wrong with you? That man's trying to take us to the gym, trying to dig us out. Yeah, but I don't like him. Girl, you ain't got to like him. His money green, ain't it? And on that Caspian level, you would just be able to come to the conclusion of, oh, that's the kind of women we're dealing with? That's crazy. I can't believe that's how they talk about people. But what we're talking about here is less social and more cultural. We're not talking about the kind of women that will socially and culturally castigate a guy and treat him like he doesn't exist. We're talking about the kind of woman that they are social creatures that converse amongst other social people. And because they are social creatures that converse amongst other social people, their ability to understand people comes to what they are familiar with. If they're not familiar with being around men or around other people that think a certain way or act a certain way, there is no argument to be had about whether or not they get it. Because there's nothing to get. How do they understand social context if they've never been a social creature? How could they understand social rules if they've never adhered to a rule system? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, on that, the first worry, I think that it's something that is definitely understood. Because what is more social than social media? All these people validating your opinion, you agreeing with them, and they give you not just validation, but also sometimes money? Oh, if I just lie and say, yeah, men are pigs, I can potentially get $1,500,000? I'm going to feed into this with absolutely all the cognizance to know that what I'm doing and saying can directly affect myself and others, and it does nothing to destroy people's ability to think about other people and to trust other people. There's no way that this hurts people. Like, bro, the only people who care about this are just fucking losers. I'm not a loser. I'm one of the smart people. Except, I'm not very smart. But that is more just me rambling. Then, there's the aspects. Oh yes, they do have books. Some of the best writers in history, female. And they understand not only the power of the social hierarchy, but the perception that this has on people. They know it, intrinsically. Some just don't give a shit. They don't have to care, because they don't have to think about it. I wrote off a man. Why? Because I thought it was creepy. Why? Because I didn't have to actually discuss it. Why? Because I didn't have to think any more about it other than because I didn't like the person. Why? Reasons. I don't have to explain myself. I can just feel how I feel. And if that's the basis from which we act on, that we have to think about, what does that lead to an outcome of? That doesn't help me, doesn't help you, doesn't help her, doesn't help him, them, or anyone else that can be concerned about it. And because they share that content unto themselves, it's not that they don't know or that they don't care. It's that they don't believe they have to. I feel the way I feel, and that's it. I can feel a certain way about men, I can talk a certain way about men, but I don't actually have to fucking talk to them, actually. I don't actually have to rationalize with them. I don't actually have to get to know them. Ugh, why would I want to get to know? Why would I want to get to know a man? Men assault us, don't you know? It's a crazy level of delusion. And plus, with all the amounts of energy that is given to shit that can sometimes be based in something that they saw on content, rather than things that actually make sense to want to give energy to, it's a choice. It's a choice. It is a choice. And if it is a choice, then they are choosing to not understand. It might hurt, but they are choosing to not understand. And if they're choosing to not understand, you'll have to choose to understand that that's their choice. Because there's no rationalizing out of that position. All the amounts of news, all the amounts of media, all the amounts of other women telling women, maybe you're being delusional and you're not being realistic. They're not dumb. They're not crazy. They're not stupid. They're not dumb. It's a choice. Use their own logic against them. If they wanted to, they would. Why wouldn't they want to think about these problems? Why wouldn't they want to speak on these issues? It's not known truth. In certain places of the world, maybe. But then the question I'd have to come to is, why are you talking about those places in the world like every single man who lives there is like that? That's not realistic either. Because it can't be that the men are lying. Even here in this conversation, it can't be that the men are lying. I can't be waiting to turn my head towards the camera and my eyes light up like I'm at the end of Thriller. It's not possible. Why? I take care of a woman. If all men are evil, monstrous men that will destroy other people and make them feel a certain way, why am I not assaulting my mother right now? Why not assault my sister? Why not assault my neighbor? Why take advice from other people? Why take advice from anyone? Why make a woman my head mod? Why would I go to her for counsel and opinion about anything? Why would I ever trust people that aren't male and have a penis? You know what I'm saying? Like, that doesn't cohese to rational sense. It can't, because it's not sensible. And then you say that's all men? All men are like that? No, not possible. It can't be all men. Not possible. It's because they're immature and they don't spend time around men and then are shocked that they don't understand them. I think that's closer to the truth, Alabaster. Also, Easy's here. I need to go to the bathroom. Guys, talk it out amongst yourselves. See if you come to a different conclusion than what I come to.
Yeah. What I think is that it's best not to overthink about it. Like, am I paid to be nice to anyone? No. Is anyone obliged to like me? Neither. So I really don't care if a crazy danger hairstyle girl doesn't would rather meet a random bear in a forest than me. Like, okay, the bear wants food then. To not my problem. For my problem, I have my things to do.
I think ultimately the reason why they pick it is just to take a fat shit on the men. That's ultimately what it is. They're just being petty. That's really what it comes off to me, like, or that's what it comes off to, like, to me. They're just trying to be petty. It's if the man just goes like, all right, see you with the bear then, and just decides to leave from that conversation. He doesn't even answer. He just leaves her to make that choice, and she'll be like, well, what? You're not gonna, like, try to change my mind? You're not gonna change it? It's like, no. You made your fucking choice. You live with it. You gotta have the woman be at least be somewhat responsible for her choice, because that's the only way you make them change. Let them fail on their own. Let them choose. Let them make stupid decisions, and let them live with it. Because you can't force them to do fucking anything at this point.
Oh, I guess y'all didn't talk it out.
Oh, look, listen. The sisterhood's gonna have to answer for this one. This isn't something the Mennonist can really address. MRAs can't really touch this one. I don't think this one's for the red pillars. I don't think this one's for the black pillars. This one ain't for the incels. This one's for the sisterhood. And so now this leads me to the final point that I need to make today. So I'm going to use my man here, John Cannon, which is funny. I actually met this guy, and he's cool. I like him. He's nice. You guys should go over to check out his...
John Cannon is a pretty good content creator on TikTok. I don't know if he has an account on any other places. If he does, I'll promote it. He is a very reasonable guy. And it's very important that we have men like him to be able to speak, because first off, obviously, number one, he's attractive. Which means, when he gives an opinion, not to say that I ain't looking, but when he gives an opinion, there are going to be women who are going to be wanting to listen to him because they're going to want to agree with him just by the nature of him being a man. Real talk, let's not even fuck the fade about it. That's how a lot of these women function. Oh my god, I hate those men. Oh, what's that? A beautiful man says something different? Oh my god, he's so attractive. I'm going to agree with what he said. That's really how some of them really are. And it's half the reason why we can't have conversations about the things seriously. Because they're not conversating seriously.
TikTok. He's a nice guy. I like him. Anyway, so John Cannon made this TikTok. And I think this is why I don't do videos on trending topics, by the way, guys. Because the internet, it always pays dividends if you're patient. And I'm really glad that John Cannon made this video here, so we're gonna watch it.
Well, there is a man named Wade Wilson. You see, Wade Wilson is a violent criminal. He violently killed 2 women, along with a slew of other charges. But there's something special hold on, because these women are making edits. They're making edits of this man. And where down we She said, I fear I need therapy. Why? Because you're attracted to a violent murderer? And you know, that was just one of the edits. Bro, just type in Wade Wilson and then go to these comment sections. These women love him. It just reminds me of something that happened, what, 2-3 months ago maybe now? Where, excuse me for laughing, this is quite comical. Where there was a question posed, would you rather be in the woods with a man or a bear? And the men were like, yo, a regular man, like, you talking about 1% of the 1% that rape and murder. You know, like, yo, we scared of them too. Like, we don't want to be around them boys either, but like, you rather be in the woods with a bear versus a man? But here we have a man who is exactly who y'all think he is, but he's fucking handsome. He's an attractive guy. That's all it takes. Y'all making TikTok edits. You should be fucking embarrassed. It's not just a few. There's a lot of women. A lot of women who are like, oh, Lord Jesus, I know he got tattoos all on his face. I know he killed 2 women. But it's just, oh, Lord Jesus, I just need them. What the fuck is wrong? You know what I don't want to hear? I don't want to hear any women saying, it's not all of us. Not all of us think like that. No, because you thought all men were more dangerous than, okay, we're not gonna.
Like I said, the reason why I don't do videos on trending topics is because the internet will always pay out its dividends, and this is a great example of that. At first, when I was on TikTok and I learned about Wade Wilson, I didn't actually see very many ladies actually, fawning over him, apart from
in public. You didn't see many of them fawning over him in public. They were doing it in private. Scratch and sniff!
Like a few edits. But then later on, it turns out there's this news article where ladies sent 4,000 love letters, some of which contained nudies, to a man who literally killed one woman and then ran over another woman until she, in his own words, looked like spaghetti. The worst thing about Wade Wilson is if you stop and think about it, he's him. He's really him. He's the guy trying to bury the life. Wade Wilson is him. Wade Wilson is legitimately the guy that ladies said he don't want to find in the forest, but he's the one that gets 4,000 love letters. It's those type of stories, man, where at first I'm like, to be fair, this is my original take. I had to remake this. I had to re-record this. My original take was, to be fair, I only really saw a few ladies in the comment sections fawning over him. But that article, 4,000? With some nudies and I'm done. It's interesting because for as much as the sisterhood would probably like to convince us that this is abnormal, this hybristophilia, that's weird. They're weird. They're not. That's not how most ladies operate. I'm inclined to agree with you. I don't think most ladies do operate like this. But there is a little bit of a problem at the fact that a noticeable chunk of them do. Don't worry, we'll get to it, because before we proceed, I need to make sure we're all on the same page here, that while Wade Wilson might have been the internet sensation, there was something else I had noticed, and that was this. I was watching a documentary on the gang wars that happened here in Jacksonville, and it was an interesting point that kept occurring while the presenter discussed the numerous drive-bys that occurred. This thing, it just kept coming up again and again and again, and that was some of the ops, some of the targets of these assassination attempts. Some of the people who got hit were the girlfriends of the original target. One, I remember off the top of my head, lost her finger. Another, at the top of my head, lost her life. I remember there's a story about how one of these dudes, his mom ends up getting shot at or something of the other, right? It was really interesting to me at the fact that these literal killers who went and rapped about the fact that they literally killed other people in their neighborhoods that they don't own, by the way, repping gangs and street corners that they don't own, by the way, that these wild hooligans, these evil men who killed their own brothers over thorns and thistles, over absolutely nothing but gang titles and just living on a different side of the street, they all had girlfriends who ended up getting shot at, some of which maimed, some of which killed. And I find it also very interesting that I have never heard a thug nigga ever complain about the fact that he can't find a woman to be with.
True. So true. So true. Oh my god, so true. Half of it is for reasons that are stupid, and I won't speak on those. However, yes, 100%. Probably the most annoying part of the black community, if one wanted to talk about the black community. That is another topic for another day. But would anybody like to speak on that? Because I have opinions. No one? Okay. He is attractive, but I think it's a weird tension thing based on how insane gender politics have become. I don't think it's because of Wade Wilson's attraction. Situational awareness, a man can pose danger to me, but not our own men in all danger ages. Phenomenon isn't new, it's just turning up to 11. The poor confused kid in the spice aisle making me question. In the spice aisle asking me a question isn't the same as me grabbing me and trying to drag me into an alley. True. I mean, I have no idea what that guy's life was like for him to find himself in that situation that he found himself in. But I would say that for those women that were interested in Wade, a lot of that comes down to their desire to want to get tossed like a salad. They want to get flipped, dipped, tossed like a salad, and covered in ranch. Because that's what they want as a group. Individually, I don't know what these women want. But as a group, they want the perspective to change a monster into a loving, docile, golden Labrador Retriever. And then have that Labrador Retriever allow them to behave however they want because they have scary dog privileges. They have a violent man that normally would not be violent, but upon realizing that he has the potential, he can go off at a second's notice. And the only thing that prevents him from going off and violently attacking someone is that he and all the other people who are like him can be told by their partner, no, baby, that's enough, you're scaring them. And then all of a sudden, they change back into the nice, kind, docile guy that they are. That's where a lot of these issues come from. That. Because that is not good. It's not good for outcomes, for one. But more importantly, it's not good because, two, you're not actually treating men like men if you treat them like this. Because that's not how you should treat your partner. You shouldn't treat them like they are a violent thing for you to wave around in somebody's face. To make them feel that if they don't do a certain thing or act a certain way, you will permanently hold the power over their head to destroy them. You shouldn't treat people like that. That's the first problem. Second problem is even if you were not to be one of those people who treat them like that, there are still people out there that do. And you have to be willing to say, we're not doing that here. You're not treating them like that. Not in my company. And there has to be women who are willing to say it, and they stick with it. They stand on business about it. And say, we ain't doing that here. We've never done that here. Because women in society are the ones that control this lever. If the women in society don't control the lever, and hold those women to account when they act like this, there is no hope. Period. None whatsoever. Because all of what this comes from stems from that desire of society. Wish that it didn't. I wish it was a lot simpler and a lot easier to communicate. Because I can feel myself repeating my words. But the ultimate problem is that it's a choice to try and transform men into that thing. And realistically, men and women should be that for both. If something were to happen to me in the streets, I know my wife got me. I know she's finna pull out something, and we both going down swinging. There are some women, they have that viewpoint from earlier that Zerse talked about, where they don't have that dog in them because they never had to. They had dogs. They had men with dogs. Sometimes the men were the dogs. And that scary dog privilege, when it's removed from them, they start feeling real vulnerable. As they should, because that's situational awareness. So it means that they're not completely dumb. It doesn't mean that they're completely inept. It's a choice. To bounce off of what Alabaster said, situational awareness pose a danger to me, but not all men in all situations. There are lots of women that they have that situational awareness, but they weaponize it and they use it as a way to know that they are the alpha predator in the social scenario of proper society. And unless they come across another woman who would then be the predator for those women, they hold that position where they act as though this does not make sense, when it's explained very truthfully, very honestly, and very clearly by a man to that woman. When the woman calls her on the shit, she no longer gets to feign behind the superiority that comes from her femininity. She cannot say, "You wouldn't understand, you're a man." In comes a woman like Wheezy. "Oh, I understand, I'm a woman. Square up. What you talking about?" Because it inherently brings deception to an end. It's mine. It's mine from Rising Shield Hero, Tateno Yusha. She pretends that she gets assaulted. She's got the hero for the first half of the course, basically running away from his potential execution because he's been accused of being a rapist. Who's gonna believe him? It's the princess's word versus his. What did it take to hold the daughter, and ultimately the father who wanted to go along with it? What did it take to get mine to be exposed as a liar? Put her ass on the stand and make it so that very clearly you're gonna get executed. And the only thing that spared her was the shield hero. Her mother, female friend, an additional female friend who became the rapier hero that basically started as a purchased slave that he then freed. All these things and more, as well as connections and bonds and experiences, as well as information, espionage. He had to throw the entire royal book in order for it to be exposed. Let's use the opposite example. Let's use Redo the Healer. This man really just wanted to violate and beat these women. That's what he wanted to do. He went back at the time, he said, "I'm gonna have fun clapping your cheeks out." And in many cases in that light novel, he did. And yet, what did he suffer? The man was raped for years, kept high on drugs so that he could heal the party because they didn't respect him as a human being. So he went back in time and he made these people into his concubines, slinging and catching nut in a universe where when you subsume somebody's semen, you gain power. That's a crazy world. But did he feel like becoming a monster? Did he become a bear from the start? No, they made him one. And the moment that he regained his consciousness, he knew exactly what his mission was going to be. That's crazy. But he didn't do it from nothing. Because, of course, when you bring this context up, like Weezy just said, they're going to call you internally misogynistic or a pick-me. Because realistically, a lot of it comes down to the social in-group bias and preference of us versus them. Women believe that men believe that society is us versus them, that it's men against women, and that the two sexes are at war with each other, when in truth it is not. Because realistically, I was about to say it, broken women create the broken men, and then the broken men break women, and then those broken women go on to create other broken men. It's the cycle of the fuckboy, except society-based. With the cycle of the fuckboy, these men get hurt by these women. These men then don't know how to be able to cope because they need a gentle, loving touch. And society and men don't know how to do gentle, loving touch. Not because they can't be gentle and loving, but because other men would look at a man and say, "No, you need to have a spine. You need to have some anger, animosity. I can't give you gentleness." Some can, and very rarely when they do, it's interpreted as gay. Why would you care about this man's emotions? What are you, homosexual? You want to have sex with him? They're pushed into a corner where they don't have the ability to have the outlet. So then it falls to the women in their lives to soothe them. Their sisters, their partners, their mothers. But if they go to members of their family, of their familial bonds that they're blood related to, what is that seen as? Effeminate? Sweet? You got sugar in your bowl? And yet you want those same men that you're breaking to be the ones that save you from bears in society. The bears that you choose at the bar.
At the bears.
Yes, the men that you choose. The bear that you went out with and you drank and you went home with at the bar. You want me to save you from him when you chose him. And worst part is, usually this thing goes into the incel talking point, right? You didn't choose the good man. You could have chose me, but you just... No, I'm not even talking about all that. Y'all motherfuckers put yourselves in bad situations. You think I ain't finna laugh at you? No, I'ma laugh. I'ma laugh hard. I'ma laugh heartedly. I'll lose my voice laughing. You can't say that, Carl. You're just an incel. Damn, I can't believe incels when I have a woman who bounces on me for free. That's crazy. But no, it's not. You didn't understand women. I don't understand women. I was raised in a household with women. Women taught me to look out for y'all. They hated y'all motherfuckers. And that's because y'all was evil as shit. So it can't be that. No. It goes all the way back to the most basic thing in existence. You like making them feel bad and you like making them feel weak. Because the incel talking point that usually comes in when that discussion is had is women break men, and then those broken men break those women. And it creates a cycle of violence. Because, insert incel talking point, those women are not choosing better men. And they just gotta pick better men. The women then retort, well, we can't pick better men. We can't tell when a man is good until he reveals himself. What do you mean? Yes, you can. Does he have good values? Does he have a good mind? Does he plan for the future? Does he think about you? Does he try to talk to you? And not just when he wants something from you, he talks to you. He shares his feelings with you. All these things are the things that some of these girls did not want to talk about. Because it's not about deeper conversations. It's about the trending topic of saying, I'm counted amongst the women who know that men are garbage, despite the fact they're not. And you need women to be able to say that. Because the first problem is, this is a woman's world. This is the world of their argument. This is their arena. If their arena of problems that men can solve are the physical things, the intellectual thought progress things, the theory things, and society, this is the war ground of a woman. It is the war ground of a woman to speak sense to the women and get them to understand that you can't act like this. Because it's literally delusion. But worse than it's being delusion, it's manipulation.
It's status games almost.
Oh no, it's exactly status games. Because men have their competition. They do their games of hierarchy and status out in the open. Women do their games of status in private. Women will talk shit and destroy a woman in secrecy with deception and knives. And they will smile in her face, knowing that they want to take her place. Backstabbers! Backstabbers, they smile in your face all the time. Now ride that Drake. Backstabbers, backstabbers. Dead ass. Because why? If a woman perceives herself to be good, but she's actually a bitch. If she perceives herself to be good, she preserves her social status. By preserving her social status and letting other women fight the social game, by believing that they themselves on a higher level compared to her when they are themselves on a lower societal level, they are effectively telling that girl to stay stupid. Keep playing the game and keep saying that you and I are equal to each other, because I will always get what you do not have. And I will never be at a loss, because the things that you want, I can get for free by simply existing. You have to get a man. And that's not even assuming that you have the chance to keep that man. I could say something about you that makes that man now look at you like you were a piece of garbage, and then he will come to me. That is the social game that women like to play in society. This is the biggest problem when it comes to the black community, because it's the reason why men are always at a conflict with women in that group as a social circle. Now, I'm going to say that Alabastard is correct. This is the behavior of girls and not grown women, because grown women do not play these social hierarchy games. But there are a lot of immature people that call themselves women that still behave like girls. And this social game is what causes the problem, because this is the attitude of little girls. Little girls think that men are roaming monsters that want to take their fucking virtue for the purposes of waving it around in front of other people. Hey guys, look, I got Isabel's coochie right here. Look at what size it is. Let me stretch it out. Men don't do that! And yet, flip the argument. Oh my guys, God, look at this dude that I just slept with. Oh, he's just fawning over me and shit. Reality. Realistically, all I'm doing is I'm just recounting an entire post from fucking Home Math at this point.
You know,
I was gonna say, I saw that video too.
I mean, this is how society works at the end. And it is something that he is belabored on because it is very often demonstrated in the delusion that comes from people, ironically, from TikTok, because they all behave the same way, where they are not taking accountability for their actions. That's half the reason why it's relevant. They don't take accountability for their actions because they don't have to. They can run away from the situation. They don't have to take accountability. Let the motherfucker that you're roasting and making fun of on the internet take the accountability. They'll move on to the next topic, they'll move to the next thing, and they'll avoid any kind of criticism. But if you were to do that, we would never be able to do that. We can't run away from those problems. It would chase us. Excuse me, aren't you single player, Carl? Are you that guy that was never doing that thing? It's pervasive.
This up because while it might be the case that most women do not want these vile, evil males, I can grant that. The problem is that more women want those men than a Poindexter. In conclusion, no, I genuinely do not think that all ladies feel this way. But what is critical here is that more ladies would pick men like Wade Wilson than they would pick a dweeb or a Poindexter or a nerd or a geek. So it doesn't really matter if it isn't majority of them. The fact that evil men like this always have a subsect more than nerdy weird dudes have is a slight against Team Woman. Team Woman, you guys have to address this one, because I promise you, Wade Wilson, he's the white murderer, but black ladies have the thugs, the gangsters. I guarantee you, if the street interviewer came up and asked them a different variation of the original question, I imagine if he were to ask them, would you rather be stuck in the forest with a nerd or a thug nigga? I almost guarantee you, I would rather be stuck in the forest with a thug, because a thug would probably have a gun and he can protect me from the bear. Like I said, Teen Woman, you guys gotta talk about that one. With that being said, man,
I don't see where he's wrong. He cooking. I've seen this conversation happen in the hood, and that's exactly what they say. What the fuck I'm supposed to do with him? I'm gonna take me the thug. Well, I have affiliated contacts inside of the government. He got Ray Ray, Pookie, and Quan. But I hope Ray Ray, Pookie, and Quan get you out of jail, because they ain't got no money. Either way, live with 2 engineers, pick Spurky Poindexter every time. Yes, sir. In this universe, the cringe lord and the fat bastard wins.
I'm going to end the video by saying this. Listen.
I hope I win one day.
I know it's not all women. I know it's not all women. I don't even think it's significant, like 25% of them. But unfortunately, too many ladies have gotten really comfortable saying that they would rather be with a bear or hang around a bear.
I'm sorry, what?
Vampire, werewolf, pirate, millionaire, and surgeon. I unfortunately know the correlation between those things.
Okay. I couldn't tell where you were going with that.
And one example, a book that my mom read is 50 Shades of Grey.
Okay. I see.
Or their fear of males have gotten to such a ludicrous point that an obvious hypothetical like this is just another opportunity for them to complain and besmirch men. All the while, the males that they will literally reproduce with some of you ladies, will literally have children with are the men that other ladies say are the terrible bad men they don't like. Team woman, guys, you gotta address this, okay? You gotta talk about this one, because there's some weird whiplash yo-yoing going on that just ain't making a lot of sense. I gotta tell you that honestly, here's how I finally feel in conclusion about the bear question, is that any woman that says she'd rather be stuck in the forest with a bear over a man is full of shit. So with that being said, I certainly hope you guys got something out of today's video. I doubt it. But if you did, I don't know, man, go and click the like button. Go and click that subscribe button. Comment in the comment box below. And as always, you guys have yourselves a great day. I will see you cool cats soon. Adios.
Yes, sir. Ultimately, I think the general point of what we can learn from his video is, well, stuff that we already done and have discussed before, and then reiterating on them. Namely, women are the hell that men live with in society. And men as a populace, and women as a populace, have to be capable of recognizing problems before they start. This topic itself is the extension of what happens when women decide that the conversation should only be had about what they want to talk about. They want to talk about how, what? You don't support my viewpoint of saying that men are garbage and trash and that I'd rather be with a bear? Certainly you deserve to be called a rapist, because the energy they're coming with is basically, why would you not listen and believe women? That's what it boils down to. I said that he was a monster. Why wouldn't you listen and believe me? Are you a monster in disguise? This is what makes men not want to help people in society. Namely, women. Why would a man want to counsel a woman in private when at any point in time, even if he's on tape proving that he has never assaulted her, put himself in a position where even the rumor could be started? Because there's no guarantee that he will have his sides heard. Have all the evidence, I dropped my cap. Have all the evidence you want to prove your innocence. They can tell you, no sir, we will not let you speak, because we see no reason why not to believe her. You were there by yourself with her multiple times. How do we know what happened? And it also means, as we already knew before, that it falls to the women to work with the men in society to rout out this problem so that these women can be held to account and they can be held honest. Because this falls apart the moment you apply a little bit of pressure. It don't take a lot. It just takes a little. Ironically enough, it takes just a little bit of social fucking, it takes a lot of social pressure. Because, as Weezy's told us before when she was in the chat, this is the reason why she banned cameras from her session room floor in her business as a sports clinician. Because these kinds of people prey on social attention. They love the ability to scream, help, help, I need a man out here, I need some muscle. Unfortunately, there's a lot of men in society that still knee-jerk to that reaction because we don't want to hurt women, we want to help women, because we love women. We love women, we want to be with women, we want to live with women, we want women to improve our lives, we want women to enrich our experiences, we want to share experiences with them. Why would we not want women in our lives? On the flip side of that, women, why would you not want to have men in your lives? A lot of this comes from the social dating market. This hatred and this misandry against men. It isn't rational. And they can usually be bullied out of by simply singling these women out and asking them separate from all of these people that they're doing it for validation from. What do you want? What do you think? What do you believe? And usually they crack the code and they realize, wait, I don't have to follow the pack. But as long as they're chasing validation online, I will. Final thoughts? Anyone?
Put it rather succinctly.
I mean, those are my final thoughts. What about your final thoughts?
Oh,
Honestly, I agree that whole bit of you need to hold a bit of that proverbial sword of Damocles to them, but not really threaten them with it. Just pressure them a little bit, and it will change. It's just how you do it really is more important.
I would say, yes, it's a sword of Damocles, but it's not being used as a threat. Although, if you want to do the whole rigmarole of the whole layout of the argument, technically all forms of communication and power is a form of potential threat. And the political and social power of society is the ability to use shame. That's what it is. It's shame. Shame is what held the standards of women to a proper stort, because a woman could not be delusional. When in 1929, if your boyfriend / husband of 16 years dies, who's taking care of you? You have to run a household and a homestead by yourself, and assuming that you died before you were of childbearing age or before you gave birth to children, nobody knows whether or not you have good standing, of good health, to be able to bear progeny. So how do you couple? You couple by getting with men who are of your equal station and standing, and that helps you bond and form meaningful relationships. Queens did it, kings did it, peasants had to do it, serfs had to do it, slaves had to do it. But in this certain hierarchy of society, you have the liberation of women's viewpoint of sexuality, believing them that they don't have to make reasonable choices. They can just simply do hypergamy, get stuck on, quote, the highest setting of men that they were attracted to, or men that they socialize with, and they do not go down on that level. And this delusion then leads them to try to get towards men that would never call them back for the time of day. And then, by holding them to that account of the kind of men that would never call them back and get back to them on that time of day, they then have no ability to realize that they are not chasing good outcomes. So, you give them shame, and by shaming them on the spot when they try this, they're going to look around for someone that they can manipulate. If the simps are not manipulatable, and there are no women for them to run to the validation of, they have to sit in the shame of that problem. Now, most women in society that do this, they don't sit in the shame. They do anything they can to avoid it, because accountability is cancer. They don't want the cancer, because that means they would have to learn that they're sick and get better. They want to stay delusional, and they can't stay delusional forever if reality hits them in the face. It's like a girl saying, I wish I could stay to Lulu and I could just make money using a communications degree, but now I gotta go out in the world and I gotta apply to like 17 different jobs because I need to make money. Yeah, it's the same conflicts that men deal with in society all the time. And the shame of not having money to participate in that social system is good. And it is good that men use shame. It's good that women use shame, because you need to shame men too. The only problem is that women have gone this entire time without being shamed. Because why would you shame a woman? Women are justified in whatever they do at any time. They're never wrong. But so, yeah. Lucas, do you have final thoughts?
My final thoughts, wait, my microphone isn't working. It is working? It is. The best advice I could give to anyone is nobody has to respect you, nobody is paid to respect you, you aren't paid to be you aren't being paid to respect anyone. Just live your best life, like, yeah, shit happens, and just try to improve yourself day by day.
Okay.
Like the little things, like doing a Duolingo course, helps a lot.
That's it. I don't suppose Weezy's gonna be able to jump into the chat room because I'm assuming she's at work. Unless she types out her final thoughts in form of text. But give her like 5 minutes to do that before I go off. Because I'm sure Wheezy has advice. I've gotten plenty of advice over the years from Wheezy, from different stages of both my career and my personal experience. So I know she's got advice for motherfuckers in the chat. do not think there will be a VSChat tomorrow. I have asked one of my YouTuber friends to help me with the recording of something I need for one of the videos. So more than likely I'll be working on that if there's a news segment tomorrow. If there's not a news segment tomorrow, I will figure out what to do. More than likely, Drawful is a choice. The game should still be free. Yes, it'll still be free for another 6 days. And fortunately, you all can be able to play the game without me. Because if you have the launcher for the game, for the standalone, you have the ability to set up the rooms yourself. The only thing you need is the game to run the main system, and then the ability to play it on the game together by hosting a stream that you project of your screen playing it to the server, and then running that through your browsers or your phones. That's the only thing you need. If I end up not working up to it at that point in time. I don't know if I will or not, because I want to bang these videos out, because the Once Human one needs to be done within the next 4 days, because that's when the server starts. And I want that experience to be done. I also have another one that I need to do specifically not just about my experience with Once Human, but specifically the stuff that has to do with the gameplay itself, as well as the First Descendant. I gotta do another one of those probably later this morning, around about like 3 to 4, going till about maybe 7 or 6, so that I can have that done, because I need to put those up, and then I gotta do a lot of editing on the news segment I did today. And Louise said, if you want better men, be better women. True! Clap. Anyways, I'm Single Player Carl. This was my friend Zerse's video. This has been my chat. If you like what you saw here, consider coming through. Consider becoming a subscriber. Put on your hood, join the chorists, and become a member of our Negro Hood. Because here on the United Negro Carl Foundation, we know that a Carl is a terrible thing to waste. So don't let your Carl go to waste. Join them now. Become a member of Carl & Company. Join the personal Discord, do all the algorithmically promotable things, and if you wish to, support the channel with your money. I'll be leaving now. Goodbye, chat.